Hey everybody, I decided to do just a quick video. I had like 3 or 4 people asking some comments yesterday to show my humidity system, and I'm going to show you what I'm using, but I am not thrilled with it. So this can be, very helpful in terms of, what you need to know, like anyways, whatever, I'll just show you. So right now, I'll explain it. I'm using some ultrasonic discs from House of Hydro. In this room, I'm in my big grow. I've got 3 of them set up. Before I show them, the reason why I have so many in here is because I have to balance, anyone is going to have to balance the amount of exhaust, the amount of CO2 that you're getting rid of in the grow, balancing that and the amount of humidity. So the more air you're exhausting out because your CO2 is high, that means the more moist, humid air that you want is going out, right? So if you need more more CO2 out, you got to bump your fan up. I have mine on I have my Ventec, my exhaust fan, set up on a dial meter. You can go from low to high. I pretty much have it on high. Right now I have it on like medium high because I don't have a ton that is currently fruiting. Like tomorrow I'm gonna have to turn it all the way high. I have a whole lot of pin sets, and as they get bigger, the CO2 goes up. So anyway, when I have my exhaust turned on high, more humid air is going out. So in order for me to keep my humidity between 88 and 92%, which is what I keep mine set on, I had to get more of these ultrasonic discs. So I'll have to look at it actually. I've got a 3 disc and a little bucket, and then I've got 2 bigger discs and a tote. So again, I'm going to show you in just a second, but the reason I'm using totes and buckets, this is the part that I hate. I'm using totes and buckets as opposed to a drip system, with the float valve. I could put a float valve and all that even in a tote. I could rig it up. The reason I choose not to do that is, again, my tents are inside of a house, not my house, but a house that I own, and the house has wood floors. So I already have enough issues with water seeping out of the tent sometimes. I have to vacuum these tents out every day. It's a pain in the ass. I hate it. But if I don't do it, I'm going to have water on these hardwood floors. So the reason I don't have the drip system is because, God forbid, something happens and that float valve doesn't function properly and the water keeps flowing, then I'm going to have, forget just the little drippage that comes from just the condensation getting on the floor. I'm going to have like a serious water problem. And pretty much everything that can go wrong in this grow situation has gone wrong. So surely that would happen. So that's the reason why I only use the bucket, so I know, if nothing else, the only amount of water that's going to get on my hardwood floors is the amount that I'm putting in these totes. It takes me 3 5-gallon buckets every day to fill up that 5-gallon tote. And I better be in here between no more than 30 hours. I can't go more than 30 hours. Generally 24 hours is pushing it before I have to fill up those totes. So it is a pain in the ass. I hate it. When I move, I am going to have something that's set up so that to just automatically, the water automatically goes, and I can kind of set it and forget it. I don't have to worry about filling up any totes or anything like that. The last thing on this, so like right now, I had to bump up my exhaust. When I came in here this morning, both of my grows were way under humidity. So I looked, one was at like 54%, the other one was at like 65%. I was like, what the hell? Ironically enough, both of them had water. They weren't bone dry. But what happens with these ultrasonic discs, they're with all these wires, and when it gets too low, sometimes the wires can kind of get stuck. I've rigged it, with some clamps and all that, but sometimes it just still, I don't know, they're funny. They like to be in a lot of water, not just like a little couple of inches of water. So they weren't misting for who knows how long. So the first thing I had to do when I got here is to fill up the water and get them going. Because of that, I had to turn the exhaust down so that the humidity could catch up, and so that it's still only at 84%. So I'm just, again, doing that balancing act until I get it back up. I gotta pull down the exhaust to stop exhausting out so much air, which is going to screw up my oyster mushrooms that have pinned right now. And but anyways, you get the point. All right, so I'm going to turn it around so that you can see what's going on. All right, so here's my new CO2 meter. This is what I'm talking about. You want the CO2 to be less than 600, and I'm approaching that. I'm at 5, call it 50. That says 88% relative humidity. I don't know why. All this stuff seems to kind of lag with this monitor. I'm not crazy about this monitor, so if someone else has a better one that they like, let me know. So I'm looking here, it says 88%, but my the one that I do rely on more that I think is better, outside it says 84%. I bet soon enough this one is gonna be closer to 85. But anyhow, so I started with these two. So it's a tote, just a regular size, you know, tote that you would get from Home Depot or Target or whatever. And these are the ultrasonic discs. This one has, I almost forget what they are. I believe this one is a 9, 1, 2, 3, let's see, 6. No, that might be 12 actually. I think that's a 12 disc. Let me count, hold on. 4, 8, 10, yeah, sorry, that's a 12 disc right here. And sorry, I should have counted before I did this. That must be a 9 disc. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay, so a 12 disc and a 9 disc, so do the math. That's 21 little discs. The little discs are the little circle things. They pump out the humid air. They're really meant to be pond foggers. So they pump out the humid air, but if you don't have a fan on them, you'll just see a lot of gray, like smoke looking stuff around there. It doesn't disperse. So I've got 2 fans. I've got one fan here and one fan there that are kind of blowing you know, on it, dispersing the air around. I really wish I could put those fans, you know, somewhere, you know, more level or closer to that. You know, I actually have another one that's over there. You can see. I probably should put that one a little lower. I don't really attach them to here because when, you know, when these are done. See, these are some of my pin sets right now. But when I get all these, like in a, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. After I have harvested all of those, I'm going to pull this whole thing out and like scrub it down really good. So I'd have to unconnect it and all that. So that works, you know, pretty good, those fans. So I've got it in there. The water is always very hot in there just from it working all the time. So I put cold water in every time. Don't put hot water in. The last thing about this, I get a lot of questions on how long do these run. So one of these, I can't even remember which one. One of them runs 24/7, as is this one here. I had to add this one, and I was getting to that in a minute. That's just a 3 disc. I just had it on hand, so I put that in there because I wasn't able to get my humidity quite where I wanted it. But this one of these runs 24/7, just like that little one, and the other one is actually hooked up to my humidistat, so that if it is not between 88 and 92, it will kick on. So 2 run constant. And then, you know, 1 runs just intermittently when it needs to. But honestly, they are all running almost all the time. So, on that note, my Ventec fan, my exhaust, all that brown stuff that you see, that's spores. That's spore juice collected. I clean this area pretty much every day or every other day when I'm vacuuming. But that's just how many spores this is producing right now. So anyhow, another question people ask is, how long do I keep that on a day? How much fresh air exchange do you need and all that? I keep it on 24/7. Again, it never goes off at all. The only thing that might change is whether or not I have it on medium high or all the way turned up. You know, as far as the air, the cooling of the air. Once all those pin sets are actually, you know, once they're really fruiting, you know, more like this. And these are just left, they're actually hard. Harvested a big chunk, and those are just kind of like the extras. But once they're more like that, it's going to be turned up high, because if not, I'm going to have too much CO2 in here, and I'll know it immediately. So yeah, it runs all the time. I've got people that say, you shouldn't have to run it all the time. You should only run it 4 times an hour and blah, blah, blah. Then why don't you come and grow mushrooms in my grow, and let's see how long you have it on. That's all I got to say about that. You cannot compare my situation or anyone else's situation with your situation unless they are very, very similar. Unless you have a 10 by 10 tent and you are growing a lot of oyster mushrooms, and they're full. If this tent wasn't full, or if I only had, if everything was set up the same way, and I only had it, you know, if I only had like 10 blocks or even 20 blocks in here, yeah, I could do that. I could get away with, you know, that whole 4 times an hour or whatever fancy calculation you want to do, but I can't do that. Here, let me turn this around. Sorry, I'm starting to get fired up there because I love when people like tell me what to do with my own grow. Now, again, there are certain things, there's a whole lot of things that I don't know. A whole lot of things. One thing I do know for damn sure is that this exhaust has to run 24/7 for me, because I've got, I'm trying to calculate, I got 8, 16, 24, 36 blocks on a shelf. I've got, is that even right? Yeah, let's see, 8, 16, 24, yeah, 36 on a shelf. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of those shelves, and I got, I don't know, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So 40 blocks there, and then 36 times 4. I don't even know how many that, it's 100-something blocks in here, and I keep it full. All these, that space that you see up there, you see these blocks down here? Ooh, shit, sorry. There. Oh, God, you can't even see it down there. There, right over here. And, God, I can't show you. Sorry. There. All those blocks are filling up that space. So you might be like, oh, you're not full, blah, blah, blah. I see some space. I just pulled a bunch of blocks out so that I could put those in. So my grow is full all the time. And I'm just saying that, again, because you cannot tell me that I don't need to run my exhaust fan, you know, but a couple times an hour. If I did that, my oyster mushrooms would be so leggy, they'd be reaching the roof right now, okay? So you cannot, I don't care what textbook you're reading, you cannot tell someone else exactly what they need to be doing unless you know their growth situation, you know how many blocks, what species they're growing, you know, all that kind of stuff. Now, if I had shiitake in here, if I had shiitake all up through here in the same conditions, I wouldn't have to worry so much about the fan. I could turn the fan down probably to low. It's because shiitake doesn't give a crap about how much CO2 is in the air, but oysters do. So sorry if I sound like I was barking there, but man, I gotta tell you, I get messages, I get emails, I got people breaking out calculations, like really wanting to argue with me on this one. Again, I don't know everything. I know probably this much about mushroom growing. I'm doing a really, you know, I'm producing a lot. I've got a good name for myself in this town, so I'm proud of what I've done. I don't know everything, but I do know that. So back up off me talking about don't run your exhaust all the time, and that I don't need to run my foggers all the time, because I for sure do. I do know that. I know for sure too that I do not like this setup whatsoever. So when I move and I got a little bit, you know, more money under my belt, those things have got to go. I want to get the hydro fogger. Did I say hydro fogger before? I want the hydro fogger. I don't really want to do these discs. The discs are great, but I recommend them for a smaller grow, for someone that has to do the whole bucket situation. You know, that would work, but yeah, I just got too much going on to be messing around, fooling around with these things. So I hope that was helpful in showing at least how I do it, how I have to do it. Everyone's gonna have to do it different, and y'all are just gonna have to try. And how you try is you throw your mushrooms in there, do what you think you should do. Hell, maybe you start with how I do it, 88% to 92% humidity. You know, run a couple of these mister or ultrasonic discs. Put your you know, your exhaust on medium or medium high or whatever. If your oysters come out looking the bomb, keep it that way. If all of a sudden you start putting more blocks in there and they start looking jacked up and leggy, guess what? Guess what you got to do? You got to turn up that exhaust. And if you were turning it off during the day and running it 4 times because some calculation told you to, turn it on for a whole hour, you know, with the next batch and see what happens. And that's what this is all about, is doing trials, figuring out what works for you. You'll know soon enough what works and what doesn't work. So y'all stay fabulous. I've already gone over. I really appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up. Sorry for the barking again. I think I'm over from having happy hour last night. But take care. Have a great one. Subscribe, like, and I'll catch you next time.